$36, which is about just over £3. We're not even going to get a round of drinks out of it.
Wherever in the empire sport was played, it was supposed to bind subject peoples to their colonial masters. But the spirit of fair play and the interests of empire would eventually clash head-on. The West Indian island of Jamaica had been a British colony since 1655. The British introduced cricket to Jamaica in the 1830s. It soon seemed to enter the bloodstream of the island.
He's got a good eye, that boy in the yellow shirt, hasn't he? How old are you?
10.
10? You play much cricket? Who's the best cricketer here? You are?
Not him.
Who's the best? You're the best cricketer, are you?
Me.
You're the best one.
Him. And him and me.
You're the two champs. But there was a problem here. How could a game which prided itself on fairness work in an empire divided between rulers and ruled, and therefore very obviously unfair?
Cricket in the West Indies would become not a unifying force, but a symbol of oppression. In 19th century Jamaica, whites owned the land, blacks worked on it. While cricket was supposed to be good for subject races, at that time, black and white rarely played together. It's a practice day at Sabina Park, the home of Jamaica's Kingston Cricket Club. When it was formed in 1863, it was a place for white men to play the game. Even when black and white began to play on the same side, racial tensions in the game remained. No black player was ever selected to captain the national team. Whites were chosen to bat, while blacks were relegated to bowling or fielding.
It wasn't quite the done thing for white men to do a lot of running around in the tropics, and besides which there was a distinction between brawn, bowling, and brains, batting. Batting was for white men.
Change had to come. It arrived in the person of Frank Worrell, who in 1960 became the first black player to captain the West Indies team for an entire series. When Worrell brought his team to England, they showed they could play the game rather better than their hosts.
The Oval can never have known a scene like this. Victory in the series by 3 matches to 1 confirmed the West Indies as the most powerful side in the world.
It was generally felt that here is the right person at last to lead a West Indies team, because I think before there wasn't that unity based on who was appointed captain, who was appointed vice captain. Now it was felt that the players have a captain they can fight for. So I think it was greeted with cheers throughout the entire Caribbean, and I think many people were saying, at last, we have the right man to lead.
It was like a Mandela moment.
It certainly was. That's why I said that.
Free at last, free at last.
Free at last, at last, at last. The students now become the teachers. England taught the West Indies cricket. And it was a grand opportunity for the students now to reverse that process. And in the mind of many of the West Indian players, this was, you know, the turning point, I think, for everyone. Sort of like sweet revenge.
In the end, the British idea of fair play undermined the very notion of empire itself. If a black cricket captain, why not a black prime minister? In 1962, Jamaica became the first Caribbean island to gain independence. And through the 1960s, all over the empire, from the West Indies to Fiji, the Union Jack came down. As the empire crumbled, so did reverence for the things and attitudes it held dear.
Everybody's doing a brand new dance now. Come on, baby, do the locomotion. I know you
The uniforms,
give it a chance now.
the flag,
Do the locomotion. My little baby sister,
the moustaches.
it's easier than
This wasn't playing the game, this was having a laugh.
come on, do the locomotion with me.
A laugh at military valor, at sporting prowess, at the thrill of adventure and exploration. The empire was gone. The only way to cope with its loss was to see its absurdity.
Well, ladies, shall we retire? We'll be in to spank you later, you firm, buttock young Amazons, you. I'm terribly sorry. I don't know what came over me.
All right, Morrison. I think you know what to do.
Yes. Yes, of course, sir. I apologize to you all.
Pretty, really. Seemed a nice enough young chap.
Now, why are
see
these?
that again.
Why is it funny?
Because I think it's such an absurd thing that they're doing, and yet they're all taking it absolutely seriously. And that's what the Empire was all about, really, wasn't it? Doing very, very strange things absolutely seriously.
Clive, what are you doing? I say, Cooper, what's going on?
Oh, it's nothing really, sir. He was just explaining.
I was passing the port from left to right.
And this sort of thin veneer of control, of which passing the port is one, and being gallant about ladies is the other. You know, that's if that starts to crack, the whole thing just collapses. And I think it's just because it's the formality of it. And, of course, the fact they're going to shoot themselves, which is the kind of ultimate logical end to letting down the Empire.
Where did the idea of ripping yarns come from?
Well, really from all those books. It was a literary idea. It was all those books that were written sort of in the 20s and 30s, and maybe before the war even, which I vaguely knew about, which are all stories of pluck, heroism, courage, duty.
So why did you find it funny? Was it just because you were young and truculent?
Well, when I started to think about this with the sort of clear light of the 60s upon us all, and suddenly we were free to talk about anything we wanted to, I suddenly thought that, yes, it was really absurd, and it was a rich vein, and a lot of people kind of obviously shared that literary upbringing and understood what we were on about. What's funny is being funny in a place where you're not supposed to be funny.
So is all that's left of Empire just a bit of a joke? Not entirely.
Hello, you boy in the corner there. You ought to be a Boy Scout. You're a fine-looking fella, and I know you'd make a jolly good backwoodsman by the look of you. You're ugly enough anyway.
Robert Baden-Powell founded the Boy Scouts in 1907. This die-hard imperialist wanted to enlist ordinary British boys to the service of the Empire, not just the officer class of the great public schools. He gave them military-style uniforms and funny rituals, so these boys too could play up and play the game.
Good.
Today, the Scouts are going as strong as ever.
Hey.
Here at an annual camp in Norfolk, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts learn about living in the wild,
Oh, good.
staying healthy, and becoming more confident.
Baden-Powell had toyed with the idea of calling his organisation Young Knights of the Empire. But by the time I joined it, it had nothing to do with empire. What it fed on and continues to feed on is young people's appetite for adventure, for sleeping out, for cooking under the stars, for cleaning your teeth with a twig in a stream. Can I join your breakfast?
Sit down.
Good. What do you think you learn in Scouts that you wouldn't learn somewhere else?
It's just like some things you learn in school, like English and maths, but like you don't learn that at Scouts. It's like other things like adventure and like other things that just might come in handy in life.
You still do knots?
Yeah, we do
knots.
Who's got a bit of rope? You can all demonstrate your knots.
Put your hand in there.
Okay, go on. That's it. Very good. Let me out. And do they still have that, you know, what was it called, the Scout Oath or the Scout Promise?
Yeah.
And how does it go?
I promise to do my best to God and the Queen, to help other people and to keep Scout law.
Do you have a good deed every day? No?
Sometimes.
Are you supposed to help little old ladies across the road?
No, they can do it themselves.
The Scout movement now numbers over 41 million boys and girls from North America to Europe to Africa.
The Scouts were set up to protect the Empire from the fleshy corruption which Baden-Powell saw threatening it. But they've turned into something entirely different, international and inclusive, while still fostering the same spirits of self-reliance and public spiritedness. And here's to 'em, I say.